What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Joshua Puway. I am back with another video. We got a special video today. We had the harsh truth about the GOAT debate. Michael Jordan versus LeBron James. Now, I'm not going to be biased in this video, but obviously, LeBron James is the GOAT. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get right to this video, shall we? And I'm not going to be biased.
To get the fresh 14 to the Lakers. LeBron! Look out below!
Oh my Lord!
It's never gonna end, is it? LeBron's reign over the NBA. I've just come to the conclusion that LeBron has hacked into the Matrix and has transcended aging. LeBron is in his 19th NBA season and is somehow still one of the best players on the planet. This isn't supposed to happen. 99% of NBA players peak in their mid to late 20s and then slowly regress as they age, eventually becoming a liability to their team and inevitably sailing off into the sunset, washed up and content with their achievements. But not LeBron. The man is fighting his age like he's got a grudge on time itself. And the more he piles up on these mind-bending feats, the more we must ask ourselves the question, and I really hate to do this, but is LeBron the greatest basketball player of all time?
What you mean?
And if he is,
What you mean? What you mean you hate to say that? What you mean you hate to do that? What you mean? LeBron James is the greatest of all time. See, I don't know why it is so hard for people to just understand that. And I did say I'm not gonna be biased. I'm just gonna speak my truth. LeBron has done something in the NBA that nobody would ever do. And that's come back from a 3-1 deficit in the NBA Finals against a 73-19. The exact same year, the 73-19, the Golden State Warriors, the four-headed Dragons, broke the best record with the Chicago Bulls when they were 72-10. Come on, man. Now, I understand for Jordan fans back in the day when y'all was watching. I understand that. And Michael Jordan did do what LeBron has not done. And that is three-peats. Twice. In the 10 years between in the 1990s to early 2000, he three-peated twice. I give credit where it's due. This right now, though, what LeBron is doing right now, not only on the basketball court, but also outside the basketball court. He's inevitable. Give credit where it's due.
What would he need to do to truly, once and for all, be the GOAT? About 5 years ago, I uploaded my first basketball-related video onto this channel. The title of that video is LeBron the GOAT. You can still watch this video today, but since it's an absolute dog water of a production, I highly recommend you steer clear of it. To summarize the video, I gave 10 reasons why LeBron would retire as the GOAT. Fast forward 5 years and thousands of hours of watching games, collecting data, and gathering context in this sport that we love. I've since changed my ways and realized that Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. But my original assessment from 5 years ago hasn't completely changed, because I never said LeBron was the GOAT at the time. I just gave 10 reasons why LeBron would retire as the GOAT. But ever since I dropped that video, I've pretty much avoided the GOAT conversation altogether. I've put a spin on the idea of the greatest players in certain aspects of the game. I've talked about the greatest scorers, I've ranked players using purely numbers, but I've never really broken down who the greatest player is, in my opinion, because I just feel like the topic is a bit redundant. And ESPN already gives you a daily update on the GOAT debate anyways, so no need for me to. I think it's time we actually discuss this, because what LeBron is doing at this point in his career is just absurd. At the moment, there are pretty much 3 different camps on the whole GOAT debate. People who think LeBron is the GOAT, and people who are wrong. I'm just joking, of course. But not really. I'd say about
So let me get this straight. So you pretty much saying that in the whole world, that 75% of the whole world say that Michael Jordan is the GOAT. And you got 20% that say that LeBron James is the GOAT. This is so biased. This is so biased. But maybe it's me. Well, then I'm one of the 20% people that say that LeBron James is the GOAT. Comment down below if y'all agree or if y'all don't. Oh, yeah. And for you LeBron haters out there, you LeBron haters out there that's probably watching this video eating hot Cheetos with a hot Cheeto dust on your fingers, sitting on the couch, doing nothing in your lives. Why don't y'all, you know what? I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say. This is so biased.
75% of people fall into the MJ's the GOAT category.
Oh, what is going on with the audio right now? Hold on, y'all. I'll be right back.
GOAT category, and about 5% fall into the other category. Usually these other fans believe the GOAT is Wilt or Kobe or Kareem. There's not many of them, but boy, will they die on that hill. See, the thing here is that a lot of the fans in MJ's corner believe that he is and will forever be the GOAT. But realistically, is there anything LeBron can do to surpass him? I mean, there's gotta be...
Hold on, y'all. This audio, I cannot hear it on my side. Hold on, y'all. This is really getting annoying. Hold on, I'll be back, y'all. I'm back.
Be some sort of objective metric we can use to distinguish the greatest player of all time. No opinions, no bias, just the facts. If LeBron somehow won 4 more championships and retired with 8 rings, he'd undoubtedly be the GOAT, right? So there are paths for him to become the greatest ever. But where does that threshold lie, and what would LeBron have to achieve to get there? First, let's just take a look at the basic numbers. Between Michael and LeBron, LeBron has more career points, rebounds, assists, blocks, more triple doubles, higher field goal percentage, and a higher three-point percentage. And Michael has more steals and a higher free throw percentage. But this whole argument, the career totals argument, is only useful in demonstrating LeBron's longevity and sustained excellence. These numbers don't prove that LeBron's a better scorer, or rebounder, or defender, or shooter than Jordan. They just prove that LeBron's been good at these things for a very, very long time. These numbers also show just how versatile LeBron is, possibly his most valuable asset. So instead of looking at career totals, let's look at career averages. Michael averages more steals, and LeBron averages more assists and more rebounds. And as much as it pains me to say this, this is usually where the argument for the GOAT ends for most people. Throw in a required comment about their finals records, and you pretty much have a condensed version of most GOAT debates. But there is so much more to unpack here. So let's unpack it.
Will nothing save us from this unholy curse? There is a curse upon every man that grows.
So y'all know how much I like advanced stats. They don't tell the full story. These 6 advanced stats give us efficiency, production, value, impact, and pretty much everything in between. And in these 6 advanced statistics, exceeds LeBron in 5 of them. He's more efficient overall. He contributes to more wins. He contributes to more points. He's better on defense, and he is generally more valuable on the court than LeBron is. The only advanced stat where LeBron tops Jordan is true shooting percentage. Now, in terms of who's a better basketball player, nearly every metric points to Michael Jordan. But really take a look at these numbers, and it's uncanny just how close LeBron is to MJ across the board. Just a fraction behind Jordan in pretty much everything. But these numbers aren't even addressing who's greater, because that conversation would involve accolades and accomplishments and impact on the game. Take away the rings, the influence, the intangibles, the opinions, and it's virtually objectively true that Michael was a better basketball player than LeBron. But the GOAT debate isn't necessarily about who is the better player. It's about who is the greatest player. We've got some more unpacking to do. Now, we cannot have a thorough GOAT debate without discussing the accomplishments of each player. Numbers are cool and they have their purpose, but numbers alone aren't indicative of greatness. They're just a vehicle to greatness. This is why, despite James Harden spending half a decade piling up some of the greatest scoring numbers in NBA history, most people don't consider him greater than some players with far lesser offensive numbers. The numbers complement the accolades, not the other way around. This is also why I consider Wilt Chamberlain to have been a better basketball player than Bill Russell, but Bill Russell was greater than Wilt. Wilt achieved his greatness through his numbers, whereas Russell achieved his greatness by contributing to an unrelenting style of winning basketball. So let's take a look at the accomplishments of both Michael Jordan and LeBron James. Now, there are plenty of other awards a player can earn in the NBA, but these are the ones that really stand out on a player's resume. Championships, Finals MVPs, regular season MVPs, Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA selections, and All Defensive Team selections. And amongst these 6 categories, Jordan beats LeBron in 5 of them. And Michael accomplished all of this in just 15 seasons to LeBron's full 18 seasons. The only category where LeBron outperformed Michael is in all NBA selections. And most will argue that, again, this is an accomplishment of longevity more than anything else, which, at this point, seems to be the overall theme in the GOAT debate. Up to this point in his career, the majority of fans will agree that LeBron has been a step below Jordan in terms of greatness. So now the race to become the GOAT has become a marathon. Because eventually, the sheer volume of LeBron's career numbers and achievements may become so overwhelming that we'll have no choice but to concede that he is, in fact, the greatest player of all time. Which brings us to a real dilemma in this age-old debate.
This is really getting me, y'all.
The flame that burns twice as bright burns half as long. A great quote by the ancient Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu regarding the idea of excellence and the sustainability of it. Almost as if you can have longevity or be exceptional, but you can't have both. Now, in the world of basketball and sports in general, usually being exceptional translates to longevity and vice versa. Michael Jordan was excellent for 13 seasons in the NBA. His flame was violently bright and it burned for quite some time. But what if there was a flame that burned about 95% as bright and lasted much, much longer? At a certain point, the radiance of even the brightest flame is outclassed by the flame that just won't quit.
Look at that flame.
Of course, LeBron isn't a flame. He's a 6'9" 250-pound freak of nature in basketball shoes, but his light shines about 95% as bright as Michael Jordan's did, and it's lasting a whole lot longer. When does the longevity of LeBron's brilliance simply outmatch the slightly greater but much shorter brilliance of Michael? Because as we've discussed, Mike trumps LeBron in pretty much every single metric other than longevity and overall production. So the real question here is, how much longer will LeBron have to be excellent before the majority agrees that he is greater than Michael was? The man is in his 19th NBA season, and he's leading the NBA in scoring. He's still a top 5 player in the league, and his bag is getting deeper and deeper with every season. Here's a chart of LeBron's total points, assists, and rebound averages throughout each season of his career. Each point on the graph represents the total average of points, assists, and rebounds for every season of his career. So, for example, this season LeBron is putting up 8, 6, and 30 a game, so his total for the season is 44. Now, in the NBA, anything above a total of 40 is exceptional. LeBron's total production has exceeded 40 in 17 different seasons. Now here's Michael's total average points, assists, and rebounds for every season of his career. This is by far the greatest argument in favor of LeBron in the GOAT debate. The man has simply sustained excellence for longer than Mike did. And although the numbers are just a vehicle to greatness, there has got to be a point where the numbers are just too glaring to ignore. LeBron's numbers are getting to that point. But some fans will argue that there were other players that were still really good this late in their career. You mean like Kareem, or Kobe, or Karl Malone? They weren't even close. LeBron's already the only player to be a part of the 30K, 10K, 10K club. Aside from a freak injury, he'll undoubtedly break Kareem's scoring record. He'll probably play the most seasons in an NBA career. He already has the record for most All-NBA selections, and he's still adding to what is probably the longest career highlight reel with moments like this. If LeBron is still doing this in a couple years, while still putting up All-NBA numbers, I really think it's going to be difficult to say that he's not the greatest player ever. You know what? I'm just gonna say it. While LeBron's legacy is growing as he plays more seasons, Michael's legacy would have been slightly diminished if he played more seasons. Of course, this isn't a matter of fact, but all the evidence points towards this assumption. Michael Jordan retiring after playing just 13 NBA seasons in 1998 was the best thing he could have ever done for his legacy. The Bulls were not going to win another championship, and the backbone of the dynasty he had built had all but vanished by the beginning of the 1999 season. If he had played through that 3-year retirement gap from 1999 to 2001, he would have either stayed with the Bulls and put up huge numbers on a losing team, or signed with a different team and chased rings. Both options being far less illustrious than him going out on top with the team that drafted him. Michael's career was the perfect storm. He was drafted by a franchise that was ready and willing to build around him. He was on a roster that suited his skill sets extremely well, and he and the Bulls peaked right as the dominant teams from the 80s and early 90s, like the Lakers, Celtics, and Pistons, began to fade away. You could not have written a better career if you tried. On the other hand, despite his success, LeBron really got the short end of the deal many times throughout his career. He spent his first 7 seasons in the NBA playing for a team that could not have cared less about building a coherent team around him. He spent 4 straight finals going toe-to-toe with the most dominant dynasty in modern NBA history outside of Jordan's Bulls. While Michael was surrounded by players who were all willing to buy into their system, LeBron has spent many years carrying the load of bad rosters and seemingly incompetent teammates. Part of which is his own fault for trying to play GM and putting together piss-poor rosters. And I bring up these small nuances because the GOAT debate is very nuanced. As much as people want to act like the whole 6-0 in the finals is the end-all be-all to the discussion, it's just not. If rings were all that mattered, then Bill Russell would be the GOAT. Oh, but he played a long time ago. That doesn't count. Okay, well then Robert Horry is the GOAT because he has 7 rings to Jordan's 6. Well, yeah, but Horry wasn't the best player on any of those championships. Okay, so is the argument about rings, or is it about being the best player on the court, or a mixture of both? Is a player's performance, despite how masterful it was, all in vain if his team loses? The line becomes less and less clear the deeper you dig. No single metric can be used to determine this debate, and the unpacking of every small minute detail is a necessary burden. But unfortunately, it's a burden that most fans won't bother to take on. At the moment, I personally believe Michael Jordan is the greatest basketball player of all time. I also think he's the best basketball player of all time. But, unlike some fans, I don't think the door has closed on LeBron. I think that if LeBron can continue to dominate the league for a few more seasons and continue to shatter our previous notions of what we thought was possible in a single NBA career, I think that he has a chance to retire as the greatest player of all time. But of course, only time will tell. And fortunately for LeBron, time seems to perpetually be on his side.
That's gonna be it for this video. Hope y'all enjoyed this video. Be sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to the channel. Now, my opinion is obviously LeBron James is the GOAT. He needs a season or two, and he'll definitely surpass Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time scoring list. Be safe and God bless.